Peace everybody, this is Bobby here, and you know what it is, we're at MIIRRROUSE. Last episode, I gave y'all a quick preview on this product that I've been working on since I graduated, this flashlight here, and I wanted to give y'all a little bit more of the backstory behind it, how I got to even where I'm at now to start developing the product for manufacturing. I call this project High Duo, and High Duo is to reference the high intensity LEDs, and the duo, the fact that there's two light sources. There's one coming out the front, and then there's what makes it unique, the string of LED lights on the bottom. I committed myself to completing this project right when I graduated instead of getting a job because one, I thought it was important to have a true understanding of what it takes to take a product from sketch to finished thing. I also thought it was important, in addition for my portfolio, when this thing stood out more than 6 months or a year at a company would. And most importantly, I was really interested in this idea of creating something that was a dream project and documenting the process for inspiration for young designers like myself, and also anybody who's just interested in the product development process. And again, like we said in the last video, this creates this community we're talking about of product developers. If anybody knows anything about the Pacific Northwest, there's a ton of outdoor activities to do. It rains a lot, but that doesn't stop anyone from going on hikes, lookouts. There's a ton of lakes, and where I went to college, it was just riddled with that. It's wooded, and there's so many like hikes and viewpoints to go to, and so of course, I'm not really an outdoor person myself in that way, but I got dragged into quite a few of these. Friends and I, we went on this hike. Like I said, I don't really particularly like hikes. I don't like being in the dark, and if I'm in the dark, I need everything to be illuminated. I need to see everything. I need to know what's in front of me, what's behind me. I gotta feel comfortable. And one thing I noticed when I was using a flashlight was the only coverage I get is 30 feet out in front of me. And that's cool, but on trails there are roots, some of the groomed trails there's stairs, and so I'm having to go back up and down and look around, and I'm tripping over stuff. It just wasn't that great of an experience. And so I was like, I wish I had a product that was illuminating the ground and illuminating out in front of me at the same time. And so that's where I started to get this idea for this product. Originally, the idea started out as like this, like an orb, just like this shining orb with a handle on top. And of course, that was a lot. So it got refined over the process. And I went through different ideas and went back and forth with my dads and my friends at school. And what do you think about this? And we refined it into this form. And at the time, it was just conceptual. It didn't have to work. It didn't have to be manufactured. And so that really allowed me to just think, hey, if I had this perfect world, what could this product be? So when I finally found the form, it ended up being something like this. This was the first 3D print that I made of the idea that I had after I got the CAD. And like I said, it's, you hold it, you shine out the front, you get that illumination out ahead of you, and you also get these ring of LEDs on the bottom. But I wanted it to be more universal product than just hiking, because I don't hike that much, but I really like the product. And so I started to think, well, in a tent, you could use this because you can flip it upside down and now it becomes an area light. So then I started to think, well, maybe there's more places for it to be an area light. If somebody's working on their car in the garage, they can set it on the engine and then it illuminates that usually low lit area of the hood. Then I started thinking, man, maybe kids could use this for night lights, or what if you're stranded on the side of the street and it has a strobe mode and it can alert people that you're stranded. I started thinking of all types of ideas. And so I really started to see the universal applications of this project. So since I started this, I'm going to go through the process of making this real. I'm going to take this leap. And so I got the form that I liked, and I was like, I'm ready to go. Nothing's going to stop me. So then I took it to two of my best friends. One's an electrical engineer and one's a mechanical engineer. Two very useful friends to have in product design. That's when I realized how much work this was actually going to be. The questions just started coming out because they have no romantic relationship with this design. They don't care. They're like, they need to see how it's going to work. So they started asking me, how many LEDs are there going to be? How many lumens are each LED going to be? How long is the battery life? What kind of plastic is it made out of? How thick are the walls in the plastic? Is it rechargeable? Is it not rechargeable? How many buttons are there? I didn't think of that stuff. I was just thinking to myself, I wanted to work like this and look like this and have these proportions. In my mind, it's important to start with that ideal vision. because then you can work backwards. I thought to myself, I'm gonna shoot for the stars on this, and if I land in the clouds, I know I'll have a good product. And so I was like, it's gotta look like this, and it's gotta work like this. And from that point, I knew what it had to be, and so I could reverse engineer. And I almost made the engineering just match my dream product. So after I held the first model in my hand, I knew I couldn't just go forward with this. I had to test, I had to make refinements, I had to go through the iterative process. Any product designer knows this, and anybody who wants to be a product designer should know this. It's usually never the first iteration of an idea that goes through. And so I started doing all types of stuff. I was printing stuff small. I wanted to test the extremes. I had people testing it, and people with huge hands, people with very petite hands and tiny hands, medium-sized stuff. I was even getting super big at one point because I was like, it's got to be an outdoor product, and maybe people are going to be throwing it. The point is, I went through this process, and the shape stayed the same, but the proportions, where the weight is dispersed through the product, how it feels in your hands, what the grip's like, that changed, and that's important. The product had to feel intuitive to use it. And so finally, the proportions that felt the best, that I got the most feedback on, was this. And this was printed just on a regular 3D printer. And shout out to Western Washington University, because I was using their printers like no one's business, getting these prototypes made. And ultimately, I printed out the proportions I like, and I glued this light strip to the bottom of it, and that's where I'm at now. I've talked enough for this video, but next video we're going to be really getting into the stage that I'm at right now, and how I got from ideas like the light strip to something that could be prototyped, something that takes into consideration assembly and going through each step to get this thing to manufacturing. And I'll be making videos showing you all those questions and how to answer them, and how to answer things that are relevant to your project. As always, I appreciate y'all watching this video. Thank you for supporting. This has been MIIRRROUSE. Peace, much love. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See y'all.